You're 14 and you already feel it at home. Not a crisis, nobody going hungry, but the money runs out before the month does. Bills sit on the counter longer than they should. Your parents go quiet when you ask about school stuff, doing math in their heads before they answer. Your friends are in a group chat debating what to do this weekend. You're watching your mom check her balance on her phone and then put it face down on the table. Nobody tells you to get a job. You just start thinking about it. You've watched your parents stretch every dollar for long enough that you stop wanting to ask them for things. So one afternoon, you walk into a grocery store and ask if they're hiring. The woman at the customer service desk hands you a paper application, and you take it home, and that's where it starts. You're 14, so it's not as simple as filling out an application. There's a work permit, and getting one means going through your school. A counselor signs off that your grades are good enough. Your parents sign too. No more than 3 hours on a school day, nothing past 8 at night. The paperwork makes it clear you're still a minor. You get the job. It's a grocery store. The role is bagging, stocking, sweeping the parking lot when it's your turn. Your manager is a 28-year-old who isn't mean but isn't warm either. He shows you where the time clock is, where the break room is, and what sections you're responsible for, and then he walks away. Your first shift is 3 hours on a Tuesday after school, and it feels like 6. The store has a smell you'll never fully get used to. Cold air mixed with cardboard and cleaning product, and the faint sweetness coming from the bakery section. The fluorescent lights are on full blast all day. There's always noise, the beeping at the registers, the wheels of a cart on the tile, a manager calling a number over the intercom. You figure out quickly that the break room is the only place in the building where nobody expects anything from you, and you start counting down to it about 40 minutes into every shift. Your feet hurt by the end of it in a way they never have before. Not from PE, not from anything. This is different. The specific kind of tired that comes from standing on concrete for 3 hours straight, lifting and carrying and moving at someone else's pace, is nothing like being worn out from practice or a long school day. You get home and there's still homework on your desk and your back is already aching and you have to sit down and do it anyway. You fall asleep at the desk twice in the first 2 weeks. You set 2 alarms now because one isn't enough anymore. Your grades slip a little over the first month. Not enough to lose the permit, just enough that you notice. What shifts on that job is how you see the people working around you. The woman on register 4 who's been there for 9 years. The guy in the stockroom who's been doing this since before you were born. You start doing the math on what their days actually look like, and it changes something. Your first paycheck is small. You open the app and look at the number, and it's not what you imagined, but it's real in a way nothing has felt before. You earned it in hours that cost you something, and so you don't look at it the way you used to look at birthday money. You think about what went into it before you think about what to spend it on. You keep some of it. The rest you bring to your mom in a plain envelope, cash you counted out at the kitchen table before she got home. She doesn't ask you to. You just know where it needs to go because you've been watching the kitchen table math for years. There's a second where she looks at it and then looks at you, and neither of you says anything. She takes it without making a big deal of it, which somehow makes it heavier than if she'd cried. The house doesn't change overnight. One paycheck doesn't undo years of pressure, but something is different. One less thing tight that week. Your parents start talking to you differently. Not like a kid who needs things, but like someone who gets it now. That's the part nobody prepares you for. You put money on the table once, and the dynamic shifts, and it doesn't shift back. Nobody sits you down and explains that this is what happened. It just did. You're not the kid who gets taken care of anymore, not completely. Something closer to equal started the day you handed over that envelope, and it's permanent. By month 4, you can feel what you're missing. Your friends are out on Friday nights. You're either at work or so wrecked from the week that going out sounds genuinely painful. They sleep until noon on Saturday. Your alarm goes off at 7. You see the photos from the party Sunday morning while you're changing into your work shoes. School is where you sit next to them and look the same. But you're not the same kind of tired. They stayed up too late. You did a full school day, then 3 hours on your feet moving boxes, then homework until 11, and now you're here in first period with the same dark circles but a completely different reason for them. Nobody around you can really tell the difference, and that's its own kind of lonely. Some friendships fade without a fight. You miss enough Fridays and you stop being someone people automatically include. The group chat keeps moving. You can see it happening in slow motion, and there's no way to stop it without quitting the job, and you're not going to quit the job. What you don't realize until later is that those years weren't just fun. They were when your friends figured out who they are outside of school, what music they like, how to talk to people they're interested in, how to navigate drama. That whole phase happened on Friday nights and Saturday afternoons while you were stocking shelves. By the time you're 17, your friends have inside jokes and references you weren't around for. You're not disliked. You're just outside of it in a way nobody can fully explain except you. You learn to show up even when you're running on nothing, because calling out means losing the hours. You learn to read your manager's mood fast, because getting on the wrong side of a bad day costs you. You start tracking your money without anyone telling you to, because the margin is too thin to be careless with. None of it feels like a lesson, it just feels like survival. At 18, your alarm goes off early and the shifts still run long, and none of it hits you the way it used to. What wiped you out at 14 is just a regular week now. You adjusted to a pace of life that most people your age are only just meeting for the first time, and you can see it clearly the moment your friends start applying for their first jobs. They're nervous about the interview in a way that surprises you. Nervous about what to wear, how to answer the questions, what to say when the manager asks about their availability. You went through all of that at 14. You went through the part where you're the new person and everyone around you has a routine and you don't know where anything is. That was years ago. They're walking into it fresh. You've had difficult managers and coworkers who made shifts worse. You've learned to push back on unfair treatment and you got better at it. None of that came from a class. It came from 4 years of figuring it out. But the thing that actually changes where you land isn't the experience, it's the money. The hours were capped when you were 14 and 15, so savings didn't come fast. 100 one month, 60 the next, held back from spending because you trained yourself to feel what a purchase actually cost before making it. It was slow and sometimes frustrating, and there was never a moment where it felt like the number was big enough to matter. But 4 years of that adds up to somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 sitting in your account that your friends simply don't have. That number sounds modest. It is modest, but do the math on what it actually buys you. It's 2 months of rent if you need to move out. It's a used car that doesn't leave you dependent on someone else's schedule. It's the ability to say no to a job that's going to grind you down, because you can cover your bills for 6 weeks while you look for something better. Your friends are grabbing the first job that calls them back because they need cash this week. You have enough of a cushion to look at 2 options and actually think about which one is better. Desperation makes people take bad deals, and right now you're the only one in your group who doesn't have to be desperate. Every dollar in that account is a Saturday morning you didn't sleep through. You don't track your spending because someone told you it was a good habit. You do it because not tracking hurt you early enough that it stuck. The lazy summers are gone. The version of yourself that got to just be 14 without a punch-in time is gone too, and it's not coming back. You can't go back and have the years where the biggest decision on a Saturday was where to hang out. That window closed while you were on shift. What you have instead is concrete. You show up when you don't feel like it. You save before you spend. You treat money like the real thing it is because you learned what it costs before most people your age had a reason to think about it. At 18, your friends are starting from zero and figuring out for the first time what it feels like to have a manager tell them what to do. You've been navigating that since 9th grade. The trade was real on both sides. You have a cushion they don't have and a discipline that wasn't a choice so much as a condition. But you also missed the part of growing up where you got to just be a teenager, and some days that sits heavier than you expect. You didn't get both. Nobody tells you that going in.